Welcome to the Shigeaki podcast, where science and longevity come together to help you feel stronger and live longer, one wise decision at a time. I'm Dr. Mark Hyman, and today I need to ask you something important. What kind of milk is in your fridge right now? Because if you're over 60, the wrong answer could quietly be draining your strength, harming your bones, and even damaging your heart. We've been told all our lives that milk is the foundation of good health, that it builds bones, protects muscles, and keeps us strong. But what if I told you that some milks, the ones many seniors still drink every single day, might be doing the opposite?
That is something I've witnessed for many decades, Mark. I'm Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, and in over 100 years of life, I've seen this mistake repeated over and over. Older adults who mean well, they follow old advice, drink milk daily, believing it helps their bones, but slowly they become weaker, more bloated, more inflamed. In Japan, we drink milk very differently. Smaller portions, fermented forms, and much more awareness of how aging changes the way the body responds.
I want to share a story. Alice, one of my patients, is 70 years old. She's active, bright, and incredibly disciplined about her health. Every morning, for over 20 years, she drank a large glass of milk with breakfast. It was part of her ritual, something her mother taught her was essential for strong bones. But when Alice came to me, something wasn't right. She was struggling with frequent bloating fatigue, and surprisingly, her bone density had decreased significantly. She said, "Dr. Hyman, I take calcium. I drink milk every day. Why are my bones still getting weaker?"
It's a painful question, but it's one we hear too often. And the answer is simple. Not all milk nourishes you after 60. In fact, some of it sends the wrong message to your body, one of stress, inflammation, and imbalance.
Today, we're going to change that. In this episode, we'll reveal the 4 milks you should never touch after 60 and the 4 you should be drinking daily. These milks aren't trendy or expensive. They're accessible, practical, and most importantly, scientifically proven to support the aging body.
But we won't just list them. We'll also show you how to use them wisely, which milk to drink in the morning to wake up your digestion, which to pair with protein to support your muscles, and which can help you sleep deeply and restore your bones overnight.
So, if you're over 60 and you've been doing everything right but still feel tired, heavy, or weak, this episode is for you. Don't give up on your body. Just give it the milk it's been waiting for. And if you find this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a tip that could change the way you age. Before we dive into which milks to avoid and which to drink, we need to understand why this even matters more after 60. Because, let's be honest, milk isn't new. Most of us have been drinking it since childhood. So, what's changed? What's changed is your body. After 60, your metabolism slows, your hormones shift, and your digestive enzymes, especially lactase, start to decline. That means your ability to break down and absorb the sugars and proteins in milk drops dramatically. And when that happens, even healthy milk can leave you bloated, inflamed, and undernourished.
Yes, and here's something most people don't realize. Milk is not just calcium. It's a complex liquid that contains hormones, sugars, proteins, fats, and depending on the source, additives, antibiotics, and artificial vitamins. If your system is no longer handling those components, well, the result isn't health, it's confusion at a cellular level.
Which brings us to the real question. What milks are quietly harming people over 60 every day without them realizing it? Because that's where we're going next. Let's begin with the milk that most people still consider normal, the traditional whole cow's milk you find in most supermarkets. Now, I'm not talking about raw or grass-fed versions. I mean the ultra-pasteurized, high-fat commercial cow's milk in a gallon jug. After 60, this kind of milk becomes a real problem. Why? Because of 2 things: saturated fat and casein. Whole milk is one of the highest saturated fat sources in the standard American diet. For older adults dealing with rising cholesterol, blood pressure, or arterial stiffness, that fat adds fuel to the fire.
Exactly, and let's not forget that many older bodies no longer produce enough lactase, the enzyme needed to digest lactose, the sugar in milk. When lactose isn't broken down, it ferments in the gut, causing bloating gas and inflammation. But it doesn't stop there. I often see patients who think their joint pain or fatigue is just age. But when we remove cow's milk, especially the full-fat version, the inflammation in their body drops, and they begin to feel lighter, clearer, and more mobile.
And I want to emphasize this isn't about demonizing cows or milk itself. It's about understanding context. When you're 25, your body is more resilient. But at 65 or 75, your cardiovascular and digestive systems are more vulnerable to hidden stressors. Whole cow's milk is simply too heavy, too inflammatory for most people after 60. Now, let's move on to something sneakier. The sweetened milks, chocolate milk, strawberry milk, vanilla-flavored plant milks. These are especially dangerous because they seem innocent. They taste good. They feel nostalgic. But the sugar content, it's often outrageous.
Yes, one small glass of flavored milk can contain more added sugar than a can of soda. And after 60, that's a serious problem. Excess sugar spikes your blood glucose, increases insulin resistance, and accelerates bone loss through calcium depletion. In Japan, we've learned to respect the role of sweetness. We enjoy it in moderation and never hidden inside healthy-looking beverages. Many of my patients are surprised to discover that their so-called healthy chocolate milk is contributing to their belly fat, fatigue, and even mood swings.
And when you combine sugar with dairy, it gets worse. You've got a high glycemic load paired with insulin-spiking lactose, and inflammatory proteins, a perfect storm for weight gain, brain fog, and bone breakdown. One of my patients, Jerry, loved drinking chocolate milk after his morning walks. He thought it was helping him recover until his A1C crept into the diabetic range and his energy tanked by noon. Once we switched him to a clean, unsweetened alternative with added protein, his numbers improved within weeks.
Milk should never come with a warning label, but unfortunately, many flavored milks should. The taste is comforting, yes, but the price your body pays is far too high. And it's not just about the sugar. It's about what that sugar does to your bones, your hormones, and your brain over time.
Now, the next milk on our list is one I see far too often in senior households, especially in coffee desserts and old-fashioned recipes evaporated and condensed milk. Many people over 60 grew up using this in their tea baking, or even as a creamer. It feels familiar, comforting, but nutritionally, it's a ticking time bomb.
That's very true. Condensed and evaporated milks are not just concentrated versions of dairy. They're also loaded with added sugars, oxidized fats, and excess calories. In condensed milk, sugar can make up nearly half the product. That's dangerous, especially for seniors with prediabetes, high triglycerides, or fatty liver. When my older patients in Japan present with stubborn abdominal weight or blood sugar instability, we often trace part of the problem to hidden ingredients, like condensed milk in their coffee or morning toast. They never suspect it, but it adds up quickly.
Exactly. And what's more, these milks are ultra-processed. That means fewer enzymes, more chemical residues, and zero real nourishment. When seniors use these products daily, even in small amounts, it adds metabolic stress on an already slower system. I once had a patient, Ruth, who drank 2 cups of coffee a day, both with a spoonful of condensed milk. Over 6 months, she gained 12 pounds, her HDL dropped, and her fatigue worsened. She never changed her meals, just those 2 little spoonfuls.
We must remember after 60, the body does not forgive the way it did in our 30s. Every choice matters more, and every hidden sugar can take a toll not just on weight, but on cognition, blood vessels, and bone stability. Which brings us to the last milk on our list, and perhaps the most misleading of all non-dairy creamers and synthetic milk substitutes.
Yes, these are the ultra-processed milks made in factories, not on farms. Most of them contain hydrogenated oils, artificial thickeners, emulsifiers, and synthetic flavors. They look creamy, they pour like milk, but your body doesn't recognize them as food. What's worse, many are labeled heart-healthy or low-fat, yet they're filled with inflammatory compounds that disrupt your gut microbiome, burden your liver, and may even accelerate cognitive decline.
In Japan, we avoid such imitation foods. We believe the more distant a food is from its natural form, the more likely it is to confuse the body. And confusion at the cellular level often leads to inflammation, the root of aging. I've seen patients with unexplained joint pain, skin rashes, and brain fog, and all they did was switch from milk to a non-dairy creamer because it sounded healthier. After we removed it, their symptoms slowly faded.
So, to recap, 4 milks you should avoid after 60 are 1. Whole cow's milk, too inflammatory, too heavy on the heart. 2. Sweetened or flavored milks, hidden sugars that accelerate aging. 3. Evaporated or condensed milk, high in sugar, heavy on the liver. 4. Non-dairy synthetic creamers, full of additives, disrupt your system silently. Now that we've cleared the fridge of the worst offenders, it's time for some good news. Because yes, there are milks that can actually help you. Not just avoid harm, but actively rebuild strength, soothe your digestion, and support your bones and heart. Let's start with one that doesn't get enough attention: goat's milk.
This is a traditional food in many parts of the world, but sadly overlooked in modern diets. What makes it special is how easily the body receives it. Goat's milk has smaller fat globules and a different protein structure than cow's milk, which means it's easier to digest, especially after 60, when our gut becomes more sensitive.
That's right. Goat's milk contains A2 casein instead of the A1 type found in most cow's milk. The A2 protein is gentler on the gut lining and less likely to cause bloating or inflammation. For people who feel discomfort after drinking regular milk, but still want a rich source of calcium and protein, goat's milk is a game changer. It also contains medium-chain fatty acids, MCTs, the same type of fat found in coconut oil, which provide a quick, clean source of energy. That's especially helpful for seniors dealing with fatigue or blood sugar dips during the day.
And let's not forget the immune benefits. Goat's milk is rich in selenium and zinc, 2 minerals that support immunity and help the body manage oxidative stress, one of the root causes of aging. But perhaps most importantly, goat's milk is less inflammatory, and that alone makes it valuable for preserving muscle-brain function and heart health.
Now, let's talk about how to use it, because timing matters. I recommend drinking goat's milk in the early evening, about 1-2 hours after dinner, not as a meal, but as a gentle way to support overnight repair. You can warm it slightly and sprinkle in some cinnamon, which helps balance blood sugar, or even a bit of nutmeg for relaxation.
Beautiful. In Japan, we often pair warm goat's milk with a few soaked almonds before bed. It's not just nourishing, it helps the body enter a state of rest and cellular regeneration.
All right, let's move to our second power milk, unsweetened fortified soy milk. Now, I know soy can be a controversial topic, but let's be clear. We're not talking about ultra-processed soy desserts or sugary soy drinks. We're talking about organic, unsweetened soy milk, ideally one that's fortified with calcium, vitamin D, and B12.
Soy milk, when chosen well, is an incredibly valuable food after 60. It contains all 9 essential amino acids, which makes it a complete plant protein, something that's rare. This supports muscle preservation, especially important when we're fighting sarcopenia. And the isoflavones in soy natural plant compounds have been shown to reduce bone loss in postmenopausal women and even support cardiovascular health.
I recommend soy milk as part of a high-protein breakfast. One of my favorite morning meals for seniors is a smoothie made with 1 cup unsweetened soy milk, half a frozen banana, a tablespoon of chia seeds, a scoop of plant-based protein, a few blueberries. That combo gives sustained energy, supports muscle balances, hormones, and even helps brain clarity.
That's an excellent use. In Japan, some older adults drink warm soy milk in the morning with miso paste, a savory breakfast that's both warming and probiotic. Others add a dash of matcha powder to their soy milk for a gentle lift in mood and focus.
And for those worried about hormones, don't be. The isoflavones in soy are adaptogenic, meaning they can help balance estrogen, not overwhelm it. Studies show that moderate soy intake in older adults is safe and even protective.
So if you're over 60 and looking for milks that nourish instead of irritate, goat's milk and fortified soy milk are excellent places to begin.
Now that we've covered goat's milk and soy milk, two excellent choices for strength and muscle support, let's move on to a milk that's become incredibly popular in recent years, oat milk. And let me say this up front, not all oat milk is created equal. But when you choose it wisely, oat milk can be a powerful ally for people over 60.
That's very true. Oat milk is naturally free of dairy soy and nuts, making it easier to tolerate for many older adults. What makes it truly special is its richness in beta-glucans, a type of soluble fiber found in oats that's been shown to lower LDL cholesterol, support gut health, and regulate blood sugar. And after 60, those are the exact systems we want to protect: the heart, the microbiome, and the metabolism.
Oat milk is also smooth satisfying and has a naturally sweet flavor without added sugar if you choose the unsweetened version. That's key. Many commercial oat milks add cane sugar or sunflower oil, which can turn a healthy drink into a metabolic disaster. What I love about oat milk is how gentle it is. It doesn't spike insulin, doesn't irritate the gut, and it works beautifully as a mid-morning or early afternoon drink, especially for those who feel fatigued or experience energy crashes.
In Japanese clinics, I often recommend oat milk to patients recovering from illness or with weakened digestion. It soothes the stomach, supports hydration, and carries a sense of warmth and comfort, which is very important for elderly people living alone or feeling anxious.
One of my favorite ways to use oat milk is to blend it with turmeric, a dash of black pepper, and cinnamon, creating a golden anti-inflammatory latte. This is wonderful as a mid-afternoon reset, especially for those with joint stiffness or chronic pain. It's caffeine-free, creamy, and deeply healing.
And for those who prefer savory uses, oat milk can be used in soups, creamy stews, or even as a base for porridge mixed with soft-cooked vegetables and miso. The fiber helps digestion stay steady, and the warmth keeps the body balanced through seasonal changes.
Now, let's talk about our final, milk unsweetened almond milk, fortified with calcium and vitamin D. This is one of the best options for those looking to reduce calories without sacrificing nutrition. Almond milk is low in fat, contains no cholesterol, and is very easy on the kidneys, something that matters a great deal for seniors managing blood pressure or early kidney strain.
And the fortification is key. Older adults often become deficient in vitamin D and calcium, especially during winter or when mobility is limited. Almond milk, when fortified properly, becomes a reliable daily tool to close those gaps. It's also a good choice for those trying to maintain or lose weight gently because it's so light and yet satisfying.
I often recommend almond milk in the evening, especially about an hour before bed. Here's why you can warm. It adds a bit of turmeric and a few drops of magnesium glycinate, and it becomes a calming, sleep-supporting drink that also helps with overnight bone repair.
In Japanese tradition, we sometimes blend warm almond milk with a few toasted sesame seeds and crushed ginger to improve circulation and reduce stiffness in cold weather. I share this recipe with many of my older patients who wake up at night with joint pain or chills in the legs.
And for breakfast, almond milk works well as a base for chia pudding, whole grain oats, or smoothies. It's neutral, refreshing, and pairs beautifully with berries, nuts, and seeds, turning your morning into a complete anti-inflammatory meal.
So now we've covered all four: goat's milk, soy milk, oat milk, and almond milk. And the beauty is not just in what they offer, but in when and how you use them. The same milk taken at the wrong time or in the wrong combination can lose much of its benefit.
So, here's what we hope you take away from today's conversation. Milk is not just milk. After 60, your body becomes more sensitive, more selective, and more responsive to the choices you make. What once worked for you may now be draining your energy, weakening your bones, or slowing your recovery. But that's not a reason to be afraid. It's a reason to become aware, because the right milk used at the right time, in the right way, can become a quiet but powerful tool in your daily rhythm. It can support your digestion, strengthen your muscles, calm inflammation, and even help you sleep better.
And I want to say this from the heart because I have lived many, many years. You are never too old to change something small, never too late to become stronger again. Even a few sips taken with intention can begin to turn your health in a better direction. In Japan, we say, if you change what you do in the morning, you change how you walk in the evening. I believe that. And that's why I encourage you to choose your milk wisely. Your body is still listening.
Try one change this week. Replace just 1 cup of milk with something that nourishes you better. Feel how your body responds. Let that small change become momentum. And if this episode helped you, share it with a friend, a parent, or someone you love who still believes milk is just milk. Because once you know better, you can live better. We'll see you next time.